Swiss watches are actually made in China, and the reason that replicas often look just as good as the original is that they are made in the same factory.
Where's the video of the Chinese brands exposing the watch industry? Where is that? I've seen movies.
Got you right here. This is a CF Rolex I got from Shenzhen for only 120 USD, and it still ticks. Everything is perfect.
95% of the world's watches are made here, including the one you're wearing right now. Many big brand watches are produced or sourced for parts from here. This place is Shenzhen City, the world watch capital city. And in Shenzhen, you must not miss this factory.
Watches come in different sizes. A small dial makes you with slimmer, while a larger one makes you a stronger arrow. First of all, you need to determine your budget range. The Rolex data dress is the best choice for cost-effective.
You've been sold a fairy tale. That pristine Rolex at showing some gray-haired craftsman in a Swiss Alps workshop, delicately assembling your $15,000 submariner by hand? Pure Hollywood. The truth is far less glamorous, and it's been hiding in plain sight. Let's cut to the chase. 95% of the world's watches come from one place, and it's not Geneva. It's Shenzhen, China, a city so dominant in watchmaking that even the Swiss giants quietly depend on it. Walk into any high-end boutique, and you're staring at a dirty little secret. Your Swiss masterpiece was likely built, polished, and prepped in a Chinese factory before getting its final stamp of approval overseas.
Asking y'all should receive. Tisa, where are the watch manufacturers? I did some digging and I found the watch manufacturers. There is a new scandal coming out of the luxury watch division. Listen, if you want to keep going to Rolex, if you want to keep going to AP and spending your money, go and do that. However, industry insiders are coming out, and I have their videos. People have even been fired from it for lifting the hood away from the...
How? Blame a loophole. So slick it'd make a Wall Street banker blush. That Swiss-made label on your dial? It doesn't mean what you think. By law, only 60% of the watch's value needs Swiss ties, and value is a flex term. Marketing costs count. A single Swiss-made gear inside a Chinese case counts. Even shipping the nearly finished watch to Switzerland for a final polish counts. But here's where it gets shady. Insiders leaked documents showing brands like Rolex and Omega source cases, dials, and bracelets straight from Shenzhen factories, the same ones pumping out replicas. The only difference? The logo. One former employee spilled to Bloomberg, "We'd received pallets of near-finished watches from China. Our job was to drop in the movement, buff the serial numbers, and call it handcrafted."
I got fired from Swatch Group today for talking about their products on TikTok. Before we get into the reasons why I was fired, just for the people that don't know, Swatch Group is a large Swiss watch group that comprises brands like Omega, Longines, Tissot, Breguet, Blancpain, Rado, Hamilton, and of course Swatch. One of the reasons that I got fired was for this video where I talk about how Swiss watch brands say they service your watch, but actually just swap out the movement for a new one. And that was classified as a breach of company confidentiality. Oh, and also, how could I forget when I talked about how Omega parts for watches weren't made in Switzerland, but were instead made in China. That's probably a big one.
And the kicker? These factories aren't hiding anymore. TikTok's flooded with clips of workers assembling Oyster Perpetual style watches with the same materials Rolex uses, ceramic bezels, 904L steel, even cloned movements.
Watch is often blurred. However, when you come to Guangzhou, you cannot see any problems just by looking at the appearance. What you need to be careful about is that the low quality movement inside will be sold at a high price.
My suggestion is you can try it first or buy it for a legal way. I'm Sean. See you next time.
The comments are a graveyard of stunned collector. I paid $12,000 for this. So why hasn't this blown up sooner? Follow the money. Luxury brands pour millions into silencing leaks, threatening dealers, suing bloggers, and even bribing influencers with free watches. But in 2024, the dam broke. A Shenzhen factory foreman went rogue, posting a side-by-side of a genuine Rolex and their in-house build. The verdict? Only difference is the price tag.
Easy to produce. I'll tell you one thing. That one thing alone is more than enough for you all to understand why you all should not be wearing a fake. Self-confidence, guys. Once you wear a fake, your confidence is not the same as you wear the original. Because once you wear a fake and you walk into a place where there's a lot of people who love watches, people who wear the original are going to figure out it's a fake. So once you wear the fake and it gives some light off, there is going to be reflection shown on that. That alone is more than enough. And your confidence level is not the same.
And Rolex's response? They didn't sue. They didn't deny it. They dropped prices overnight on their most copied models. Coincidence? Or confession? But this is just the surface. Because what's happening in Shenzhen right now isn't just about fake watches. it's about to rewrite the rules of luxury forever. Something strange happened in the luxury watch world last month, Rolex blinked. For a brand that thrives on exclusivity, where waiting lists stretch for years and prices only go up, this was unheard of. But buried in dealer memos and forum threads, eagle-eyed collectors spotted it. Select Rolex models just got 15 to 20% cheaper overnight. No press release, no fanfare, just quiet, targeted discounts on the exact watches flooding TikTok from Shenzhen's underground factories. Let's break down the smoking guns, the models that suddenly got affordable. Submariner, date, and no date, the crown jewel of replicas, now $1,800 plus off in Asia markets. GMT Master 2, especially the Pepsi and Batman editions, notorious for Chinese homage version. Oyster Perpetual 41, Rolex's entry-level piece, now priced closer to Tudor's Black Bay. This wasn't a sale, this was damage control. Because while Rolex would never admit it, their biggest threat isn't other brands. It's a factory in Shenzhen, shipping near-identical watches for 90% less. The whistleblower evidence. A fired Rolex QC inspector leaked something explosive last year. B-grade parts, cases, bezels, even dials with tiny flaws weren't being destroyed. They were accidentally sold to third-party vendors. These weren't fakes. They were real Rolex parts, just missing the final stamp. And now, they're being assembled by the same workers who make the real one. How to spot a genuine fake? The movement test. Wind a real Rolex. It's buttery smooth. Many replicas still use cheap Miyota movements. Listen for a faint ticking. The Cyclops lens. On a real Datejust, the date magnifier is perfectly centered. Replicas often misalign it. The price. If a used Rolex is below market value and the seller is in Malaysia, Thailand, China, red flag. But here's the twist. Some fakes are now better than the real thing. A Shenzhen factory owner bragged in an interview, "We get the same steel from Rolex's supplier. The only difference, we don't charge $10,000 for labor." Rolex isn't alone. Omega and Audemars Piguet are quietly restructuring supply chains, cutting ties with Chinese partners, but it's too late. The cat's out of the bag. And the ultimate irony, the more Rolex hikes prices on limited models, the more Shenzhen thrives. Because when a watch costs more than a car, people start asking, is this even real? The most brilliant trick Rolex ever pulled? Convincing the world it was founded in a Swiss mountain village. Here's the truth. Hans Wilsdorf, Rolex's founder, was a German businessman who set up shop in London in 1905. His early watches used Swiss movements because, even back then, Britain's watchmaking was outdated. But when World War I hit, Wilsdorf made a strategic pivot. He moved the company to Geneva and rewrote history, burying the British origins to sell the Swiss perfection myth. This wasn't just branding, it was psychological warfare. Luxury, brands love showing white-gloved artisans assembling watches in spotless ateliers. Reality, most high-end watches are made on assembly lines, just like cars or iPhones. The difference? Rolex spends more on filming the one guy hand-polishing a crown than the actual labor. A leaked training manual for Omega's sales staff even instructs. If a customer asks about handmade, say each component is finished by master craftsmen. Do not mention machines. Walk into a high-end watch dealer today, and they'll whisper something insane. Half these new Rolexes, they've been reassembled with aftermarket parts. Here's how it works. A new Daytona arrives from Switzerland missing a bezel. The dealer replaces it with a Shenzhen-made ceramic insert, indistinguishable to the naked eye. They sell it as 100% authentic because the movement is real. One gray market seller admitted, "We call them Frankenwatches. As long as the serial number checks out, nobody questions it." Pre-owned Rolexes now sell for 10x their original price. But here's the scam. Many vintage watches are Frankenstein from a real 40-year-old movement, the only part that matters for paperwork. A new Chinese-made case, aged artificially with acid and sandpaper. A reprinted dial with fake patina applied by a factory in Thailand. A notorious 2022 case exposed a Miami dealer selling 1960 Submariners for $250,000 until X-rays show the cases were stamped in 2018. Shenzhen isn't just making replicas anymore. They're creating their own luxury brands with identical quality, 1/10 the price. Seagull 1963, a mechanical chronograph with a real Swiss Venus movement clone. Cost $300. San Martin Submariner, homage, 904L steel, ceramic bezel, sapphire crystal, $400. And now they're targeting the ultimate flex, a $1,000 watch that beats CUSC certification. What if I told you that the Rolex sitting in your safe right now, the one with the papers, the box, the perfect serial number, could be confiscated by customs tomorrow? Welcome to the real dark side of the luxury watch game, where authentic doesn't always mean legal, and where even the biggest dealers are playing a dangerous shell game with the law. The gray market is really a black market. Authorized Rolex dealers get limited stock. But somehow, Dubai, Hong Kong, and Miami dealers always have brand new Daytonas and Pepsis in bulk. How? Dealer collusion. Some authorized dealers quietly sell to gray market wholesalers at a markup, violating Rolex's strict policies. Customs fraud. Watches are imported as used or personal items to dodge taxes, then sold as new. The paperwork scam. A single real invoice gets reused for dozens of watches. In 2023, U.S. Customs seized $12 million in Rolexes from one Miami warehouse. The reason? The serial numbers matched watches already sold in Europe. Rolex's new enemy, its own customers. For years, Rolex ignored the gray market. Now, they're suing owners. A New York collector had his $75,000 Daytona confiscated because his watch was never sold to the public, meaning it was stolen from the factory or smuggled out. In Switzerland, a man was fined $200,000 for selling his personal Rolex too soon after purchase, violating anti-flipping clauses hidden in warranty cards. The message is clear. Rolex owns your watch more than you do. Even if your Rolex is 100% real, it might still be illegal to sell. Why? Swiss law. Any watch with non-original parts, even a replacement crown, loses its authentic status unless repaired by Rolex themselves. U.S. Customs rule. Watches with aftermarket parts can be seized as counterfeit, even if the owner didn't know. A Florida jeweler learned this the hard way when Customs destroyed his client's $40,000 Submariner for having a Shenzhen-made clasp. The future, a world without Rolex. Luxury's biggest weakness. It needs believers. But Gen Z isn't buying the myth. 62% of young collectors now prefer independent brands over Rolex, AP Patek. TikTok trends mock clout watches with tags like hashtag scam the Swiss. China's Seagull and Shanghai Watch are outselling Tudor in Asia. And the ultimate twist, Shenzhen's factories are going legit. One high-end clone maker just launched its own brand with the same materials as Rolex, 1/10 the price, and no fake heritage. Let's be brutally honest. A Rolex is just a wristwatch. It doesn't cure diseases. It doesn't make you a genius. And in 2024, it doesn't even tell time better than your iPhone. So why are people still paying $50,000 for what's essentially a glorified mood ring for rich guys? Luxury watches prey on 3 primal human weaknesses. Tribalism. I'm part of the Rolex club. Scarcity brain. They're hard to get, so I need one. The Emperor's new clothes effect. If I say this $20,000 watch is special, you can't call me stupid. A Stanford study proved it. When people think they're wearing a luxury watch, they actually believe tasks are easier, even if it's a $10 Casio relabeled as Patek Philippe. While collectors fight over stainless steel Daytonas, these groups are laughing to the bank. The Swiss government, Rolex pays 0% corporate tax as a non-profit foundation. TikTok replica reviewers, top fake watch influencers make $80,000 per month in affiliate sales. Banks, JP Morgan estimates 65% of investment Rolexes are bought with loans. The ultimate irony? Your investment. Rolex loses value the second you walk out of the dealer, unless you play the waiting list game better than Wall Street plays stocks. The smart money is leaving. Auction houses now reject more Rolexes than they accept because the market's flooded. Hedge funds are quietly shorting watch stocks, betting the luxury bubble will pop by 2026. So, should you buy a Rolex in 2024? Only if you enjoy lighting money on fire to impress strangers. You think mechanical nostalgia is worth $800 per year in servicing. You truly believe a Chinese factory worker assembling the same watch for $500 per hour is inferior. For everyone else, buy a Grand Seiko, better craftsmanship, an Apple Watch actually useful, or a Shenzhen homage, same flex, 90% off. Because in 10 years, when Rolex is the next Movado, just another overpriced relic, you'll wish you'd kept that $50,000. Agree? Disagree? Smash that like button if you'd rather have $50,000 in Bitcoin than a submariner. And drop a comment with your hottest watch take. Is Rolex a scam or still king?